Vamos a dar paso a una mesa de debate en la que hay 3 continentes, América, tanto del norte como del sur, Europa y Asia. El moderador de la mesa va a ser el doctor Hans Konskolensky, que es también el presidente de ORP. El título de la mesa es Del cumplimiento a la cultura, que sigue en prevención. Cuando quiera.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Asun, for the introduction. So this next session will be held in English and partly in Spanish. So please there are these auriculars that you can use for the interpretation, because this will be a very exciting roundtable where we're going to discuss a topic I think that is on everybody's mind when we look to the future, when we look towards how we can improve our impact on accidents and ill health at the workplace. Because I think all of us that have been focusing on compliance of regulation have found out that there is a limit towards bringing accident levels further down, and we have a lack of addressing occupational health issues. Because often in the national legislation, these issues are not covered to the full extent of their nature. So therefore, I'm very, very pleased to invite to the stage a distinguished panel. First of all, let's say I start there with Lars Hoffmann. Mr. Lars Hoffmann is the head of the AHS Expert Center at Siemens in Germany. Next, I would like to invite my good friend, engineer Majed bin Ibrahim Alfuwaiz, who is the Secretary General of INSHPO of Saudi Arabia. Then it's Mr. Wayne Arondus, who is the CEO of the Manufacturing Safety Alliance of British Columbia, Canada. Dee Arp, who is the president of INSHPO, the International Network of Safety and Health Professional Organizations. And then I hope I also have a lady more. There was another lady. This was Anna Ercoreca. Anna is in the room. We lost Anna. We lost Anna. Okay, so our last then is Iván Zuloaga, who is the General Director of ARL Sura from Colombia. So please take a seat, and I think it fits, almost. So please take a seat. And as I said, this roundtable is an idea that came up actually 2 weeks ago when many of us met in Osaka, Japan, and attended the Global Initiative for Safety, Health and Well-being, which is an event that took place. There we have Anna. Perfect. Anna Ercoreca, who is the Secretary General of IALI, the International Association for Labor Inspection. So 2 weeks ago, many of us actually were in Osaka, and we discussed the topic of safety, health, and well-being for all. And so, as you can hear, we went beyond the classical safety and health. We introduced also well-being as a challenge, because reflecting on what also has been already a main topic here today, which is looking into the psychosocial aspects of work life and private life. And we organized a summit at the Expo, because the Expo is taking place, the World Expo 2025 is taking place in Osaka. So we had the privilege actually to be the first time that we brought occupational safety and health to a World Expo. And it's really historic. It's the first time in 174 years that our topic, the safety, health and well-being of people, is actually integrated in the program of the Expo. That was a nice, very nice, I think, milestone. So there we had, in the very nice Expo hall, it was called the Shining Hat. In this Expo hall, we had a summit where we had discussions with business leaders, so CEOs from important companies, policy leaders from international organizations, and then we had also a discussion of safety and health managers and leaders from international OSH professional organizations. And after this discussion, I think it was clear that if we could have an opportunity to integrate this also in the program, so we did this actually just yesterday, and with the kind approval of our speakers who have other roles during this event, to have this discussion also here in Colombia, here in Cartagena, at an ORP event. Because, as I said, we all believe in compliance as the basis. Of course, we have to obey the legislation, the legal basis for the protection of workers and for the promotion of health at work. But we also, as I said, we have seen that these approaches have certain limitations, and they turn our topic of safety, health, and well-being into sometimes a very administrative task, where we have to check a checklist coming from the, let's say, the ministries of labor and the labor inspection, and everything is focused upon that we are on level with these regulative demands. So instead of going beyond and thinking more holistically about how people actually are thriving in an organization, we are focusing many resources on administrative tasks which are related to very complex national legislation. And we also then have this view on that it has to be, the professional has to be at the center of attention. And this professional often, as I said, is then limited in a way in realizing the preventive work to this kind of burdensome also implementation of legislation. And if you look into the OSH legislation, as I mentioned, often it is mainly focusing on accident prevention and occupational diseases, often the diseases that are listed in official lists of ILO or others. And the whole well-being issue is still something that we struggle with because it's not what we traditionally see as something that is covered also by accident insurance systems and so on. So therefore, the discussion in Osaka, and the reason why I would like to bring this also to Cartagena, is that there was a very, very, let's say, positive view towards the need of going beyond compliance as a way to address the challenges that we have today, but also in the future, and maybe also to bring some new oxygen to our profession, to our activities, by putting some goals that are more advanced, Pedro Mondello mentioned this morning during his opening comments that we have to think about more holistically about the person and not just the worker. So the person that even is bringing some, let's say, health challenges and mental health challenges from the private life to the workplace, and to have this larger understanding in order to be able to help these people in order to kind of promote their health and secure that they are not victims of accidents or occupational diseases. So this is a bit the background, but with this, I would like to start my questions to the panel, and we have agreed that I will, for each, I have 3 questions. The first one is kind of setting the stage, the other is going a bit more into detail with these concepts, and the last one is looking into practical cases, because this is what we all are interested in. And I have agreed with a couple of speakers that they will start, and then I will open the floor to the other speakers, of course, also to join. So my first question is, and I put it forward to Ms. Dee Arp, and which is, what is the difference between compliance and culture when it comes to occupational risk prevention? And why is it critical for organizations to go beyond a compliance mindset to truly protect and promote safety, health, and well-being at work? So, Dee,
thank you.
Please.
Yeah, I think Hans Horst, as you've said, the compliance.
Iván is experienced. He has tried it already
magic
this morning.
Touch. Thank
so please.
you. Thank you. Yeah, as you said, Hans Horst, I think the compliance culture, we absolutely need compliance. We need that system of legislation, compliance with policies, processes to bring the structure. Absolutely, we need that. But I think when we've just got a mindset that focuses on that, it can become short-sighted. It can not address fully the risk profile of individual organisations. it can become very document, checklist, audit-based. And I think in my experience, it can also just put the safety professional at the heart of everything to do with safety. Safety isn't everybody's business, it's just the safety professionals. So that's some of the risks. I think another risk with a just compliance culture is it can introduce a fear-based or a blame culture, because people inherently in a compliance-based culture are doing things because they have to. They're doing things because it's rule-based. And that doesn't bring creativity or innovation or inspiration. Whereas if we're in that culture-based organisation and the mindset is about the people, if people are at the heart of every decision, if safety, health and well-being are true values of the organisation, then we get the psychosocial risks embraced in the risk profile. Then we get psychological safety. Then we get a culture where people feel they belong to the organisation, they feel they have a voice, so they will speak up when they see something that isn't working too well. Leaders behave authentically because they truly care about the people. It just creates a very different organisation that, in my experience, then builds resilience and it builds sustainability and it builds performance. It builds all the things that the C-suite and the leaders are looking for anyway. And I've said to a few people today, I love a quote, and one of my favourite ones is, people forget what you say and they forget what you do, but they will remember how you made them feel. And if we can make people feel valued in organisations, they're much more likely to take on board all the compliance rules and requirements anyway.
Thank you very much, Dee. I know that Mr. Alfuwaiz also has reflected on this question, so please share your thoughts with us.
Yes. First of all, really I would like to thank you, Hansa, for selecting these topics. It's very important and it's meaningful for our future journey for occupational health and safety. If I'd like to add in what Dee say, compliance, I think it's a duty. So and where the culture is a lifestyle and it's our way to transfer to sustainable business or sustainable occupational health and safety overall the way. So I think it's very important and to transfer from compliance to culture, it's a big change. It's not an easy way. So I think through that it's very important to focus on partnership and collaboration because it's a collaboration, it's a responsibility from the individual to the company and from the company to the society. By understanding this term, I think we can move forward to transfer ourselves to the culture. However, there is a mega challenge. I will leave it for you to achieve this culture working environment, but I will talk about that in the other questions.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Lars, you look very motivated.
Yes, please. If I'm allowed to.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
For me personally, it's not a matter of choice whether to follow the compliance-based approach or the cultural approach. The more interesting question is, how long can an organization afford not to follow the cultural approach? And from different perspectives, from a financial perspective, from the perspective of having competitors, we as a large organization with more than 300,000 employees, we are fighting the war for talents. Looking at that perspective, people don't want to work for an organization where people get sick, where well-being is not in the focus. So they are very sensitive on these kind of things. And the question is, how can an organization afford it? It's very important. Yeah. From a Siemens perspective, I can say these were not our main drivers, the financial aspects. Of course, it has an impact. Looking at premiums, insurance premiums, and all these kind of things. For us, it was an ethical and moral question. So we decided, by the way, back 150 years ago, our founder Werner von Siemens, we don't want that people get hurt while working for the company or on our behalf. So it includes also partner companies. This was our main driver to change from, let's say, the compliance approach to the cultural approach.
Oh, that's interesting. And we will come back to some practical ways in which you have implemented this mindset, and we look forward to it. I would like to ask Anna, because Anna, you represent labor inspection, and labor inspection is about compliance, no, as I've mentioned. But I also know that IALI, has signed up also to the Vision Zero mindset and is promoting also amongst labor inspectors to go beyond compliance in a way and to address issues that have to do with culture. Could you just tell us how you are doing this and which challenges you see there?
So good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to be with you and to share this session with these opponents and with these colleagues. So yes, labor inspection is about compliance, but you are right, and you are also labor inspector, is a beyond compliance. According to ILO, more than 2 billion people are dying because of fatal accidents, and these accidents are neither determined by fate or unavoidable. They always have causes, and they always can be prevented by a safety and health culture. So OSH is a fundamental principle, and all the key players have a role to play. I remember in Bilbao, as you remember, that there was the at work, one life, one planet, and everybody has a role to play. Let's close the gaps. So in Osaka, we were speaking that OSH is not a priority, because sometimes they might be a priority for the enterprise and sometimes not. It must be a value, and it's something that can be prevented our health and safety. So if we invest in safety, we can have a better quality of life, and also it will be worth it. So if you ask me if I would have in front of a politician, an enterprise, of a worker, I would rather say that it's worth to invest in us and safety, because it will save your life. If I would rather say to the politician, I would say you have the responsible to take care for the community. So you cannot do it alone. You have to do it with the enterprise. You have to do it with the trade unions. You have to do it with the OSH professionals, and you have to do it with workers. So I will say to the enterprise that it's worth it, because we see that if their accident takes place, there's a life that will go missing, friends that will go apart, and life that will be broken. And if I would say to the workers, I would say you have to take care of your own, because everybody has the right to return health and safely home. And that is something that you cannot do alone. So that is something that has to be beyond compliance, because if you only do by compliance, you do not have it integrated by yourself. And you have to have it inside. It has to be a culture, and you have to see that it's not only investing money, it's investing in the present, in the future, and no enterprise will have better future if they do not care about the workers.
Thank you very much, Anna. May I ask Ivan, already this morning, I think there was already a discussion about that when you talked also about digitalization and going beyond. And I understood also that Sura has programs in order to kind of develop this culture as a basis for also reducing, of course, future accidents and diseases. So would you please share with us how Sura is viewing this issue of going beyond compliance?
Esto va a haber un cambio. Voy a hablarles aquí en español a mis coterráneos, que creo que hay muchos colombianos que están conmigo. So let me please speak myself in Spanish. Este tema que estamos tocando es muy importante, y yo les voy a hablar desde la experiencia que tenemos. En Sura tenemos más de 5 millones de trabajadores afiliados en más de 400.000 empresas. Y la diferencia cuando una empresa tiene una cultura que solamente está en el cumplimiento, lo que hemos visto es que son muy reactivos, porque siempre van detrás de la norma tratándola de cumplir. Mientras que cuando la empresa tiene una cultura de seguridad, se preocupa por la vida, realmente tienes una cultura que es proactiva. Entonces ahorita lo veníamos conversando y hablando. Esto, lo decía Diana, la doctora Cuervo, realmente es una inversión. Y las empresas que se quedan nomás en lo normativo son empresas que difícilmente van a ser capaces de sobrevivir a la cantidad de cosas que nos están pasando, porque estamos en un mundo que está lleno de incertidumbres. Y uno cuando está en incertidumbre tiene que estar pendiente de lo que está pasando, mirando las tendencias para poder seguir adelante. Cuando estamos simplemente en el tema de una cultura, normativa, casi siempre los indicadores es cumplió o no cumplió, qué número de accidentes tiene. No puedes ver hacia el futuro. Mientras que si pasamos a una cultura que sea más de seguridad, pues los indicadores nos van a cambiar. Van a ser indicadores, como yo los llamo, vivo, que nos van a ayudar a mirar cómo estamos y si podemos estar mucho mejor cada día. Y realmente lo que estamos haciendo es cuidando la vida de las personas, cuidando la vida de los trabajadores. Entonces hay que tener esa cultura. Y arranca, súper importante, es la experiencia que hemos tenido por el propósito, por lo que entienda el gerente, el líder de esa compañía. Porque finalmente eso es como en la casa. ¿Qué piensa el padre? ¿Qué piensa la madre? ¿Qué piensan los hijos? Es súper importante para la construcción de esta cultura tener líderes que crean en el cuidado. Porque está demostrado, Diana lo decía, está demostrado, si se invierte en seguridad, de verdad van a verse los beneficios. Y si trabajamos en el bienestar de las personas, van a verse los beneficios. Y si quieres cuidar a los clientes, cuida a tus trabajadores, que ellos se encargan de cuidar a los clientes. Entonces es un tema muy importante para que no se nos olvide.
Thank you very much, because this actually brings me to my next question, which is what are the biggest challenges organizations face in making this shift from a rules-based approach to one grounded in shared values and mutual responsibility? And let's reflect both on the management commitment, what you mentioned, and the role of the employee involvement in this transition, no? Because we need a new approach of a new dialogue and new involvement, both of the top management, but also of all employees. And this is one of the basic principles in the Vision Zero concept, no? That you say we need to have everybody on board. The culture has to come from the top, but we have to have everybody involved. No? So let's see who is going to start with this discussion, this issue.
If you allow me, just I would like to get your question from government perspective, as we are representing government. For us in Saudi Arabia, I think one of the most important challenge having a multinational labor market. So we are having laborers from more than 120 countries, and those all of them coming from different culture and from different education. So dealing with this case, I think it is not easy to build let me say a culture to promote occupational health and safety, unless there is a cooperation between the all companies and organization, I mean government organization to help into building that. So through that we establish our own motivation program, which are allowing us to sign MOU with the big firms and with the government organization who are licensing businesses to encourage them to promote occupational health and safety into their supply chain, overall supply chain, and through that they will get some benefit from our side. Also, I think one of the most important things, how to work directly with the countries. I mean, try to improve the quality of the labor before they are coming to you. So through that, we introduce also our on high risk training program. So to start promoting occupational health and safety in high risk jobs. And also we built in the occupational health and safety with the educational training, which are, I think, it's very famous in Europe and in the developed countries. They believe in education is the first layer to improve occupational health and safety. So through that we build the occupational health and safety in the education to ensure that we are starting from our new generation to develop the occupational health and safety culture. The second challenge, I think it is building a collaborative environment and sharing the lesson learned and success stories with the others. Through that, I think it is not an easy to get information from the firms and company and try to share it with the others, and to make that happen, we start utilizing the digital transformation and also motivation. I think it is one of the important aspects to give the company some let me say some items to motivate them, such as self-regulators for the big firms and companies, to make them easy as incentives. Yes. Also, for the small companies, you need to give them some, let me say, buoyance once they achieve something in occupational health and safety, and reducing an accident or reporting about the hazards. Now we are working in tools called please share your success story. So through that, he must to share all of the story behind making any success in occupational health and safety, and through that they will be nominated to the Occupational Health and Safety Awards, which was launched last year. So it will be this award, they will get it through the scoring system, to at least give some incentive to promote occupational health and safety culture. Anyway, we think it is a journey. It's not an easy journey, and it is a major change. So, but of course, there is a huge benefit if we achieve the goals and this transformation.
Yeah, thank you very much. We saw in your presentation earlier that culture plays a very important role. I would like to go to Wayne right now, because Canada is known for some of the highest safety and health standards, and you work with manufacturing in Canada and internationally. And so I wonder if you have what are the challenges that you have seen, especially when it then comes to also the management and the employee involvement there?
Thanks, Hans. From a Canadian perspective, we really do see that there's a need to switch from the compliance to values. And this is where it goes from the head to the heart. Because when it's a value, it's something that all of you truly believe in and will follow. Even when the boss is not there, the owner is not there, it's something that it needs to get into the culture. And what we're seeing is, certainly there's a lot of challenges. We represent thousands of manufacturers, and we really work with leadership to be present, to be part of the conversation. I call it the walk the talk, because it's one thing to have a value statement on the wall, or to show up to the odd meeting in here saying, oh, we value it, but do you really? I ask the question of senior leaders and CEOs all the time, is if you were to walk into your facility to a new site, would anyone feel empowered to stop you as the CEO if you weren't wearing your PPE? And a lot of them say, no. In fact, they wouldn't stop me because I'm the CEO. And then some do. And I said, well, when they do, you can tell that it's in the culture because people believe it. They walk the talk. And so what we're trying to encourage is that, leaders become visible. Leaders show through their example that they too believe in the culture that they're trying to create. They're present in the meetings, that they hold themselves, their leaders, accountable. Yeah, sure, there's metrics and things that are important to measure. Do they review those? Do they stand behind, well, we've had a rise in lost time incidences, we've had a major accident. And what I've seen with, and we have in our conferences where CEOs and leadership have come and they've talked about the transformation that they've gone through. And one of the things that really stood out to me when you asked these questions was, in one particular organization, the leader, they had a fatality. And he said, you know, we really thought we were safe. And till this unfortunate incident had taken place, we realized that there were holes all over the place, but we couldn't see the holes at the time. And so they really went through their entire program, and everybody kind of recommitted to this value or this vision of the values. And he said, and here they are, it's 11 years since that incident, and they've really feel today that if anyone's to walk in, they would feel the sense that the value is present with everyone. And so I think that, you know, in summary of it all, it's a transformation that takes time. Everybody needs to be on board with it. And I think that through the examples and the stories and the conversations that leaders have with their staff, because we in Canada we're seeing a lot of revolving door. Like we have a lot of transient workers leaving the workforce a lot quicker than we used to. So it makes it even more challenging for organizations because you're constantly training, you're constantly having to restate your values, right? But again, it's a journey, right? We're never at the finish line, but I think the conversation is switching from head to heart and really is about walking the talk.
I wondered how the professionals take this. As I said, it's a journey, it's a change in the way also professionals work, going from administrating the legislation, as you also mentioned, towards really contributing to shaping a culture. And this means also you have to talk to the top bosses because culture in a company is always coming from the top. It cannot come from other places because the top, is it the profit or is it us, the people? That is a very clear thing. As people are not stupid. They see that immediately. What are the values in this company? So I wondered how can the professionals facilitate that, let's say, that shift from, I would not say shift, but adding to the compliance dimension this cultural development, so it really becomes from the head to the heart, so it becomes a whole experience for the company. Can you share some experience with us?
I love that, from the head to the heart. Yeah, I think the profession have got to go on the same transformative journey as well. Many professionals that I know started in a compliance-driven organisation. That's where the training was based. And as we've said, of course, that's still important. But, for many, it's a new skill set. It's a new skill set to move from the head to the heart and embrace that vulnerability and humility. And I think to try and get that out of leaders as well. We're having this conversation this morning. Some of the best leaders are the ones that can show that vulnerability themselves. And yet many by nature of being leaders have taught never to do that. They've got to be strong and a leader and never show that humility. But when leaders can, it encourages other people to show up for each other as well. So yeah, I think for the OSH profession, they've got to transform. They've got to really sort of co-create the future. We had this discussion in Osaka as well. The future is with us. None of us can be bystanders. We've got to co-create it together. Events like this are just so important because, I'm blessed to travel, and although the language is different, the culture is different, what brings everybody together is the importance of people in workplaces and looking after them, and that importance of presence and showing up for each other. And that is at the heart of every OSH professional that I know. But I think it's just about changing the skill set. And Hans, you mentioned a really important one about getting that leadership buy-in. And sometimes that is about changing our passionate OSH language to C-suite language, which is what I was talking about earlier today. So yeah, I think we're all on a journey. It's about transformation, but we can co-create that together.
Yes, who would like to come in?
Esa pregunta es súper fácil hacerla, pero difícil contestarla. Y yo tengo un sueño, y déjenme soñar, y es que todos los que estamos trabajando en seguridad y salud en el trabajo, nos gusta cuidar la vida. Entonces digamos que ya lo tenemos en el corazón, ya nos pasó de la cabeza al corazón. Pero Hans lo decía muy claramente, y es, si esto no está en el liderazgo, es difícil que toda la compañía lo tenga. Y ese es el reto que tenemos. Entonces, ¿cómo somos capaces de hablar con los gerentes, los propietarios de las compañías, para mostrarles que esto no es un tema romántico, sino que esto también es otro tema que ayuda a gestionar a la organización? Y cuando seamos capaces de lograrlo y ellos estén metidos en ese tema, pues va a ser mucho más fácil. va a ser mucho más fácil. Entonces el reto que tenemos no es pequeño, es un reto gigante, pero sí tenemos que convencer a todas las personas de la organización que es que trabajar por el bienestar es el camino. Y no es porque salga muy bonito la frase, no es porque sea un tema que se escucha bien en un congreso, no, es porque realmente esto le trae a la empresa y a las personas beneficios. El tema del bienestar y la competitividad no son conceptos independientes, son conceptos que ambos se ayudan y se fortalecen. Empresas más competitivas seguramente van a tener trabajadores con mayor bienestar. Y empresas donde haya bienestar, seguramente, eso ya está demostrado, también va a haber. Entonces creo que ese es el compromiso y ese es el desafío que tenemos los que trabajamos en este mundo, que algún bichito nos pegó, pero nos fascina cuidar y salvar vidas. Hay que llevar esa idea a la cabeza de las organizaciones.
Yeah, and I would like to ask you exactly about that. Because bringing this to the top of the company, because usually also your partners would not be talking to the top manager, because your interaction would be based on the fact sheet. Well, how many accidents have there been? What rates do we have? Do we give them a bonus malus, or how do we support the further preventive action? But do you actually discuss these issues with the top managers as an accident insurance company? You just ask one to respond to that.
Perfecto. Si lo hablamos, como te digo, cuando uno empieza a mirar esto, y es uno de los desafíos que tenemos, es cómo balanceamos el tema de rentabilidad con bienestar. Que muchas veces se creen que eso es una dicotomía y no lo es. El mundo no es tanto de OES, el mundo es mucho de IES. Entonces, por supuesto, en una empresa tiene que tener buenos resultados. Pues eso es claro, si no los tiene, pues seguramente la empresa no va a estar. Pero eso se puede conseguir también cuidando a los trabajadores. Se puede conseguir también cuidando el medio ambiente. Entonces, ese es uno de los retos grandes. ¿Cómo tenemos esa dicotomía? Y nos va a tocar aprender a hablar, hay veces en cifras. Nos va a tocar aprender a hablar desde un punto de vista financiero, donde le podamos mostrar a un gerente las ventajas que tiene. Porque muchas veces en la experiencia que yo he tenido ya en más de 28 años trabajando en este sector, es que cuando se habla de cifras, muchos entienden más fácil que cuando se habla simplemente de propósito. Pero sí se puede hacer. Pero el reto es eso, oigan, no es un tema de OES, es un tema de IES. Y yo creo que ahí tenemos un reto muy importante y casi que una invitación para nosotros que somos expertos. Hoy cuando una persona compra un producto, piensa si ese producto le hace bien o mal al ambiente, pero nunca se pregunta si después, detrás de ese producto hay enfermos o accidentes. Qué rico que fuéramos capaces de llevar eso, que la gente cuando compre un producto diga, uy, este producto es de una compañía donde hay bienestar, y tal vez este otro producto es una compañía donde no hay tanto bienestar, y ojalá eso fuera también, digamos que un tema que se tuviera, porque aquí los que estamos sentados nos fascina hablar de esto, pero cuando uno va a una compañía por fuera, este no es su tema principal. No. Entonces creo que también hay que ver cómo nos ayudamos a posicionarnos mejor, y ese es un reto que nosotros tenemos, y creo que también hay que pensar en los retos nuestros.
No, thank you very much. Anna, now also the question of labor inspectors. Now you speak to the people on the floor. You talk to the ground managers now that are the floor managers, because they are the ones that are the immediate supervisors. What about the dialogue with the top management between labor inspection and top management for also to kind of see what is the temperature in this organization? Because often if you just look at accidents, well, they can happen and they cannot happen, but it does not mean that things are okay, because these are just these lagging indicators. So I wonder how does IALI look at the labor inspection of the future in a way, and the role vis-a-vis building this culture and entering into dialogue with the top management as well?
Desde la Inspección de Trabajo mantenemos un diálogo con todos los agentes sociales que tienen un papel, no solo con los CEOs de las empresas, que por supuesto tienen que estar involucrados. Si ellos no lo creen, difícilmente van a hacer que se implante esa cultura preventiva. También con los políticos, porque hemos visto que la normativa laboral ha cambiado muchísimo. Antes de la pandemia y durante la pandemia en España se aprobaron más de 300 normas que a veces generaban incertidumbre e inseguridad. Por eso es bueno también que se construyan a base de diálogo social para que una norma sea más estable, tenga futuro y tenga más recorrido. Y por supuesto que hay que hacer talleres, que hay que informar, que hay que formar, porque si el trabajador no es consciente de la peligrosidad de la acción que está haciendo, puede poner en riesgo su salud y su seguridad. Estamos viendo que hay muchos retos en el mercado de trabajo porque está cambiando muy rápido. Estamos viendo que hay riesgos en materia de cambio climático, donde cada vez fallecen más trabajadores por culpa de las altas temperaturas, porque si el trabajador está expuesto a una temperatura superior a 40 grados, ya hay peligro para que tenga un accidente a través de mareos, de desabastecimiento, incluso que le pueda dar un ataque o un infarto, y por eso hay que adoptar medidas preventivas, porque también estamos viendo retos en el trabajo informal. Aquí en Colombia, en Brasil, en Chile, en España tenemos trabajo informal y es una lastra porque esos trabajadores que dejan su país en busca de un nuevo futuro para mejorar sus condiciones de trabajo, tanto de ellos como de sus familias, y lo que encuentran es un país donde las condiciones de trabajo no son las adecuadas, donde tienen barreras a nivel de idioma que no lo conocen, donde son vulnerables porque tienen miedo a denunciar, porque piensan que les van a expulsar del país, y donde tienen una situación de necesidad económica que tienen que llevar y enviar dinero a casa. Esos trabajadores son los más vulnerables de padecer un accidente de trabajo. Por eso la formación e información es clave, porque si las condiciones de trabajo no son buenas, no esperes que la empresa cuide de la seguridad y la salud de los trabajadores si en el primer peldaño no le ha dado de alta o no le ha dado su paga. Si no le da eso, no esperes que le dé un arnés, que le dé un equipo de protección individual. También, por otro lado, hemos hablado estos días con la inteligencia artificial, cómo nos puede ayudar a mejorar nuestra salud y nuestra seguridad, pero cómo también puede producir un peligro si perjudica nuestra salud y nuestra seguridad mental. Y por eso es muy importante la colaboración de todos los agentes que intervenimos, profesionales, sindicatos, abogados, trabajadores, porque un trabajador que tiene formación y que tiene información puede determinar si una conducta es peligrosa o no, y tiene la información de decir: yo esta actividad no la hago porque pone en peligro mi seguridad y su salud. Si integramos la prevención en la cultura, también conseguiremos que tengamos unos días de asistencia, porque cada día que hay un accidente de trabajo es un día que el trabajador no vuelve a casa, no vuelve al trabajo, y es un día perdido para la empresa. Es lástima que a veces, como dice mi compañero, haya que hablar en números, pero es verdad que un trabajador que no cuida a su empresa es un día perdido también para la empresa. Pero no solo es un día perdido para la empresa. Hoy en la comida me decía una responsable de prevención de una empresa que un trabajador había subido a un poste y que no lo había hecho con las medidas de seguridad, teniendo en cuenta que era una empresa del sector eléctrico de aquí de Colombia. Y cuando bajó, le dijo a la empresa: vos estáis despedido. Y dijo: ¿por qué? Dijo: porque vos no queréis a vuestra familia. Creo que eso es un mensaje que tenemos que tener también muy integrado, que no estamos solos, que también tenemos a nuestra madre, nuestro padre, nuestro hijo, nuestro hermano, que tenemos que cuidar de nosotros, primero por nosotros y segundo por la gente que está con nosotros. Y cuando el trabajador se lo interiorice, que su salud y su seguridad es lo primero, creo que avanzaremos mucho.
Muy bien, muchas gracias. Thank you very much. You shifted to Spanish, huh?
Yes, because it's easy, and I saw there's a translation there, so I thought it was going to be difficult for them to translate.
It went from the head to the heart, I think. So I would like now to come to the final question, and as I said, would like to look into some more practical experience amongst our panel. And Lars is waiting already with a mic, because
I have it already.
Always ready. And my question is, can you share an example where a cultural approach to occupational safety and health made a measurable difference beyond just meeting regulatory requirements? And what were the critical success factors and what lessons were learned? So, please.
That's a long story.
Tell us.
Yeah, well, of course. Our journey in Siemens started around about, I would say, 15 years ago, with these changing to the more cultural approach. By the way, culture always played a big role in our organization. We were founded 1847, and we are present today in more than 190 countries in the world. So now you can imagine that cultural aspects play a vital role in our organization. But nevertheless, it was around 2010. There were two triggers that let's say, asked us to re-emphasize these cultural aspects. One was we realized a stagnation in our safety performance. You know that, the Bradley curve, well known, so we didn't improve for years, at least not significantly. And we had a fatal accident in 2010 in the UK where a contractor person died. So these two things were put on the table, and together with the management in Siemens, we discussed it and we said, okay, how comes? Everything is regulated. We are not lacking in procedures, rules, circulars, instructions, recommendations, whatever it is. But obviously that is not sufficient, right? And we said, okay, this is not the way we want to do business. There was a clear decision by the management saying, no, this is not how we want to earn money at the end of the day. So, okay, easily said, what to do? So we sat together and said, okay, we need to put the focus on the values, the beliefs, the way how we behave, attitudes of people. And we developed a program called Zero Harm Culture at Siemens. So even the name already expressed what the intention was. Some people had the opinion that this program aims to drill down the number of lost time cases or something like that. No, this is not the aim of the program. This might be a positive side effect. The main aim of the program was to initiate a cultural change across the entire organization around the world. This was the main purpose. Okay, so we sat together, we developed a program. First of all, we designed some guardrails, some core principles, which are equal in each of the countries we do business. First principle, and not changeable, not for negotiation. First principle was zero accidents, it's achievable, period. Second principle was health and safety, we don't compromise. And the third, we care of each other. So simple, easy to translate in any kind of language, easy to understand. And you find them all over the world, they are the same. Then, of course, we developed communication concepts, all these kind of things, master plans, and so on and so on. And so, since you were asking for challenges or lessons learned, of course, we got some lessons learned. And lessons learned in regard to considering the cultural aspects. So I remember 2012, we went to Brazil, Jundiaí, one of the biggest manufacturing sites of Siemens, 5,000 employees around about, and we started to pilot the program. And it was scheduled for, 3 or 4 days. And after one day, the Brazilian colleague came to us and said, we stopped this now here. We got shocked. They said, how comes? Because now, imagine as a German safety engineer sitting in a headquarters, we know everything best, we are complacent, we know what is working around the globe, and we failed. We failed at the first pilot because the documentation, the posters, everything was well prepared. But there were white-skinned people on the pictures, right? There were German facilities, etc., and they said, this is not us. If you want that this is our program, we need the flexibility to adopt. So we grabbed all the stuff together, we went back home, really after one day, and we reworked it. So the frame, the look and feel was still the same, but we took out all the pictures, we took out all the, say, animations and whatever's flooding around, and we said, okay, you can fill it with your content, make it your program. And since that, the time was running smoothly, it was well recognized, and they recognize themselves with the program, right? It is now their program, it is not something that comes from corporate. And this made a big, big change. The other story was, we went to other countries like India and China, and we tried to share good practices across the countries. And I remember we sat in China with the colleagues, and the week before we've been to India, collecting good practices, put them on and say, hey, look, this is how the Indians do that. And they got pissed off and they said, we don't need other people to tell us how to do health and safety. So don't underestimate these cultural aspects. So at the end of the day, we made it. It's running now since more than 15 years. After 2 years, we initiated a second program, Healthy at Siemens. So we started with zero harm culture at Siemens. 2 years later, we started Healthy at Siemens. After 10 years, we said it doesn't make any sense to separate it. So now the program we launched recently is Healthy and Safe at Siemens. So we merged it. And the next will probably Healthy and Safe and Well-being at Siemens. So this is in a nutshell what we did over the last 15 years. Everybody knows it. Everybody likes it. And in regard to success, yes, since 10, 12 years, we reduced our lost time cases by more than 70%, which pays off at the end of the day. Again, we don't do it just for the ratios or the numbers. We do it from our ethical and moral perspective. And we are not there because we are not at zero. So the journey goes on.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Lars. And I would like to ask Wayne also, because Wayne is also has his look into the companies, and please share with us your experiences when it comes to tangible results and how this worked out for you.
Yeah, that's a great example. And for us, I go back to an example where it was an organization that we were looking at in supporting. It was a grain elevator that had an explosion. For many years, it's similar to your situation. The safety record, they saw a creep in some of the safety statistics, but it went largely ignored because they were not anything major. And so the organization had lulled themselves into a sense that they're safe, they do most of the things, but there was nothing really, big that had happened until that morning when, unfortunately, maintenance workers had checked on a hot bearing in a leg, and the minute they had opened up the leg, the oxygen went in, and there was the primary explosion. That wasn't the worst, because that triggered the secondary explosion. Unfortunately for that morning at the plant, 9 people had perished in that explosion because of the intense fireball that went through the catacombs underneath the grain elevator. And I think when I got invited in, and after the incident had happened, and of course the entire organization, well over 400 people worked in that facility, were completely shocked. They thought they were safe. They felt that they had all the right protocols. But what they had said is that, through the years, that they had recognized that a lot of the things that they knew they should be doing were not being done. And so there was a recommitment. And I think what you had said, like the entrenchment of leadership, they had really came into the facility and said, there is no exception to us ignoring our safety checks, our walkthroughs, the testing of our equipment, the spark, the grounding, etc. And there was a major shift that they had committed to. And they said for the first year, the superintendent right up to the CEO were present in the monthly metrics. They were looking, they were talking about, they were sharing, and there was a major shift in that leadership was present. Leadership believed in what they were doing, and they were talking through and made it where the workers felt safe to bring forward things that normally would be probably only talked about at a team level, but they'd actually felt that they could put their hand up and speak to the leaders and say, we've mentioned this to safety, we've mentioned this to the maintenance teams, it still hasn't been done. And leadership right there they said, we make commitments to take care of things. Money, it was not the principal driver anymore. And in fact, it was interesting because when they got this commitment, they said, it was interesting, out of something so horrible, and it was a very tragic day, But that grain elevator today is zero incidences, and in fact is the highest output grain elevator in the Vancouver port. Yeah. It is because they not only are they safer, but they actually are more productive. The psychological safety that they feel as an organization, when they get together as teams to celebrate their milestones, they said they're celebrating not only health and productivity milestones, but really what they've done. They've transformed this plant into a very safe place, because this is a multi-generational plant. These are fathers with sons, and now their sons and their sons. So it really means something to them, and they're proud of what they've gone through and where they are today. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Now I would like to ask all of you to say what recommendation would you give the audience in terms of building a culture in their organization. So what would you think is a kind of critical success factor? Or so please share your suggestions with the audience, please.
Muchas gracias. También decías un ejemplo, y para la inspección de trabajo, por ejemplo, es uno de los peores días cuando vas a un accidente de trabajo y ves que el trabajador ha fallecido y se podía haber evitado, porque ves que la prevención de riesgos laborales no se ha implantado, porque no se ha evaluado, no se ha hecho un protocolo, no se ha formado, no se ha informado, no se ha dado a los equipos de protección individual. Y por eso hubo 2 noticias en España muy seguidas, donde un trabajador cayó de 5 metros y falleció, y donde un mes después otro trabajador cayó de 5 metros, pero quedó anclado y sujeto a un arnés. Y ahí vemos cómo la prevención de riesgos laborales, en un caso fue un seguro de vida y en otro caso lo condenó a la muerte. Por eso la cultura preventiva tiene que estar implantada y tenemos que ir más allá del compliance, más allá del cumplimiento normativo, porque sí, porque tenemos que ir a un compromiso y a que sea no priority sino value. Y por eso la guía de Visión Cero, que también colaboramos con ISA, con la Asociación Internacional de Seguridad Social, que está Jens aquí, permite que se integre en todos los departamentos y en todas las personas, porque todas las empresas tienen que jugar con las mismas reglas de juego. Todos entenderíamos que un partido entre Colombia y Brasil tendría que ser con las mismas reglas, porque no podrían pitarse penaltis a favor de Brasil de forma ilegal, porque no estarían jugando bien. Y si les pusieran una tarjeta amarilla y después una roja, tendrían que expulsarlo. Y por eso todas las empresas tienen que jugar con las mismas reglas de juego, tanto empresas como países. Desde la Inspección de Trabajo y desde la Asociación Internacional de la Inspección de Trabajo, nuestras recomendaciones serían incrementar la colaboración entre todos los agentes que intervenimos, no solo los agentes de prevención, también los sindicatos, también los políticos, porque tienen que prever y cuidar la salud y la seguridad de los trabajadores, y también, por supuesto, los trabajadores. Para eso es fundamental incrementar y fomentar la formación, porque un trabajador sin formación, ¿cómo va a poder saber cuál práctica es segura o no es segura? Tiene que tener esa formación y tiene que tener unas buenas condiciones de trabajo, porque si no las tiene, tendrá miedo a denunciar y tendrá miedo a decir, con esas condiciones no trabajo. Por supuesto, tiene que incrementarse los recursos para no solo los servicios de prevención, las mutuas, la inspección de trabajo y todos los agentes que intervenimos. Y, por supuesto, pasar del commitment, del compromiso, a la acción. Porque de nada nos sirve tener eslogans que son muy bonitos si no nos lo interiorizamos y si no nos lo creemos. Y si no pensamos que detrás de ese equipo de protección de seguridad y salud, que aunque nos dé a veces calor, es lo que nos marca la diferencia de poder volver a casa. Y todos tenemos que volver a casa.
Gracias. Vosotros tenéis 30 segundos cada uno, porque
Perfecto.
Asun está viendo el reloj.
Perfecto. Muy rápido. En este nuevo mundo en que estamos hablando de digitalización e inteligencia artificial, mi consejo es: pongamos al ser humano en el centro. No nos olvidemos del ser humano. Trabajemos por el bienestar del ser humano. Busquemos que cuando salimos de la casa regresemos inclusive mejor. Y eso es, venimos a entregar bienestar, a estar bien. Seguramente hay problemas, pero a ser capaces de lidiar, trabajar con ellos. Pongamos al ser humano en el centro y estoy seguro que las cosas mejoran.
Thank you. And 30 seconds, that was great. So 30 seconds each.
Yeah, I think some of the really good points have been said. I think certainly having the patience and persistence as OSH professionals to bring that change at leadership level, that is going to take time. We've had great examples from Siemens and from Wayne here where there is that committed leadership, but in other organisations it will take time to get the authenticity. But I think what doesn't take time is showing up for each other. There's some very simple things that we can do, and sometimes just reframing a question. You know, if a leader's doing a safety walkabout, for example, a common question in the UK is, "Are you okay?" And somebody in the UK will say, "Yes, I'm fine." Just flipping that question around and saying, "What do you need from me to be okay?" Yep. Suddenly opens the door to a different answer and a different dialogue. So there's some very simple things we can do and start to change culture at that grassroots level while still working on the leadership.
Thank you. Wayne?
I think I'll just go back to, again, when people know you care, I think, you know, as a leader, you know, it's not a matter of you know, having all the numbers all the time. I think it's when you're truly authentic, you show that you care, that goes from the head to the heart. I think you can change culture because they can see that you're authentic, that you are truly believing that you care about how they will go home at the end of the day.
Perfect, thank you. Mr. Majed?
Yeah, just I would like to say, start by yourself and collaborate. Then finally, it is very important to learn from the others and try to transfer those learnings to something suitable to you. Don't bring something, suppose, from Germany and as Mr. Lars say, and think that thing is going to be work with you. So you need to be very aware about the context of your organization and the context of the people who are working with you to change the culture.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know it's hard to get the buy-in of the management. So I speak from own experience. And what I would like to say to you is be also a little bit self-critical. We as safety professionals, we live in our own world. We have our own terminology. The people often don't understand. We are using indicators they don't get. So transfer the message into another language so that these people can understand and accept it at the end of the day. Yeah. So this is my recommendation.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. We come to the end of this roundtable. And I think and I hope that you have brought some ideas home to your organization. And I invite all of you to have this discussion in your organization with your colleagues, with your professions, to say, well, how can we go beyond compliance and build that prevention culture in our organization that helps us reaching the vision of zero. So with this, a round of applause for our distinguished speakers. Thank you very much.